Man doesn't shop up for first date, months later he proves he had a good reason. It's funny how things can change, so quickly recalled Craig Towler in his story on his personal website. He was just a regular young man, having one of his best days in his life on a 4th of July, 2016. But that amazing day would soon turn into a nightmare as in an instant, he was hit by an impaired driver. Craig nearly lost his life that day, but the tragic accident led to a story we had never heard before. "My name is Craig Towler, and I am a bilateral amputee," wrote Craig in the opening paragraph. Let's see what happened that day and what he is up to now. At 28 years old, Craig was settled down in Boulder, Colorado. A sports fanatic, he loved playing all sorts of sports and compete in 10K races. "This is my town," Towler later said in an interview. "I was a runner, I like to hike and do everything outdoors." But his life was about to change. That morning, Craig was crossing a new milestone in his career, but by the end of that day, his life completely changed. He headed home after the race, and he was unloading his vehicle in front of the house. Craig was planning to celebrate the 4th of July with his friends and watch fireworks. But it didn't go according to his plans. It all happened so fast. "I remember the day like it was yesterday because I was having such a great day up until the accident," recalled Craig in his story, explaining that he worked as an event coordinator timing specialist for BBSC Endurance Sports. It was his first time when he worked as the timer at the race they had at the Boulder Reservoir that morning. "Timing races is a very complicated and in-depth process, and I was excited because I killed it." The young man was eager to celebrate with his friends. Happy that he worked as a timer for the first time that day, Craig couldn't wait to meet his loved ones and talk to them about those moments. "Just as I was about to finish unloading, I felt an impact that pushed me into the back of my vehicle," wrote Craig. He didn't even had enough time to react, but what he saw would terrify even the bravest men. Craig was also planning to bring his girlfriend to the party that night. It was their third date, but he was ready to introduce her to his friends. As he unloaded the racing gear from his truck, Craig had no idea he would be part of a car crash. "I was standing behind the tailgate of my SUV and felt an impact that pushed me into the back of my vehicle," he wrote. Craig was never going to make it to that party that 4th of July. However, it would indeed be a moment he will never forget. "Before I knew what had happened, I looked down and saw both of my legs detached," recalled Craig in his story. It was a terrible sight, but somehow he managed to think clear, and thanks to his cool and the people that stopped to help, he is still alive today. "I immediately knew my life was in danger, and action had to be taken immediately for me to survive," revealed Craig. Although he was in tremendous shock, he still remembers everything in detail. He was now fighting for his life, and although he didn't realize his life was in serious danger, he knew it was bad. "Shortly after the impact, people who were nearby at the time came to my assistance and called for an ambulance. People that saw the accident rushed to help the injured man. They were surprised to see how conscious he was. Craig gave them instructions and they followed them. I instructed them to help me lay flat on the ground. To this day, I'm still not sure how I had the mindset that I did, but my thoughts were very clear and I knew exactly what needed to happen if I did not want to die." He was on the ground and losing a lot of blood. Looking at the people around him, he told them to remove their belts and use them as tourniquets above the injury. They secured the belts tightly, saving his life. Police and the ambulance arrived fast at the scene, and Craig was rushed to the hospital. "I later learned from the doctors that the tourniquets had stayed on my legs until I entered surgery hours later and are the reason that I am alive today," wrote Craig. He had to be airlifted in a helicopter to get to a more advanced trauma unit. Although terrified, Craig was conscious the whole time until he was sedated to get into the surgery. Then it all went black. Doctors were able to save Craig's life after hours of surgeries on his legs. It took 1 week and 5 surgeries to complete the procedures. At the end of that week, Craig was alive, but had lost his legs. The brave patient woke up from the first surgery and realized what happened to his legs. While conscious, Craig had to approve with the amputation of his legs before it began. It was either life or limb. "I remember telling the doctor, you know what, just do what you have to do," Craig told SWNS.com. He was prepped for the procedure. The doctors had to amputate his left leg from below the knee and his right at the knee. Skin grafts were also taken from both of my upper legs to close the wounds. "I was in intensive care for over a week," recalled Craig. But he also did something that nobody saw coming. Before getting into his first procedure, he asked a friend who was by his bedside to text someone called Amanda. Craig felt like it was important to text this woman, thought his friend. But why would he be concerned about texting this mystery woman? Amanda Shue was his date for that night, and he was worried that she thinks she was stood up. Although they knew each other for 3 weeks, Craig knew this was a special woman. Craig met Amanda at the gym, where she worked as a fitness trainer. He spotted her way back, but only got to talk to her a few months before he had the accident. "It took a while for me to get the guts to talk to her," recalls Craig in the interview with SWNS.com. He even scheduled his workout so that he would see her at work. One day, he finally walked up to her and was able to say more than hi or bye. "It was a slow process for me," said Craig. And just as his love story was starting, he was in the hospital going through a trauma not many of us go through. His life may end right there on that bed, thought Craig as he was stuck in that bed before the first surgery. So he asked his friends to write Amanda a text. Amanda was preparing for the date. She was waiting for Craig to call her, but hours passed and there was no sign from him. "I was getting nervous," she wrote in an Instagram post later, recalling those days. "Craig is not the kind of gentleman to just ditch a gal, and we were so excited to spend the evening together. Something was up. I never expected to hear the kind of news I received." Amanda did get a call, and although it was from Craig's phone, it wasn't a voice. "Cedric Towler's best friend told me Craig was hit by a car and was going to survive, but will have his legs amputated soon," she recalled. "He also told me Craig said he was really sorry to have to cancel our date." Amanda was shocked that Craig insisted on announcing her. What was her reaction? "The fact that he was even thinking of me made me fall for him even harder," Amanda wrote in her Instagram post. She knew what to do next. Amanda rushed to the hospital to be by Craig's side. Even though they had known each other for less than a month, she knew she had to stick around. Seeing Amanda at the hospital, Craig was baffled. "I honestly didn't know what to expect, but she was there immediately, no questions asked, and I knew she would be the one for me," recalled Craig. Weeks passed and Amanda stood by his side, being there while he had 9 surgeries on his legs. This was only the beginning. Amanda was there when Craig celebrated his 29th birthday, she was there when his 87 staples were removed from his legs. After the car crash, Craig learned that the man who almost killed him drove his car while impaired. At first, Craig had a tough time accepting his fate. It was difficult for Craig to accept that he was now an amputee and thought back on all the things he had been able to do. Now, everything was so far away. But then, Craig decided to change the way he saw things in life. "When I was in the ICU, I made a very conscious decision," recalls Craig. What was he talking about? "I was talking to my mom and I said I need to accept what had happened and that it was real. Only once I had that acceptance could I move forward." And Craig not only accepted and moved forward, but he also made it look like it was a piece of cake. Although it was a different kind of dating, Amanda and Craig made the most of their relationship. "Amanda was with me more days than not," said Craig. Having her by his side all the steps he was making, it was definitely boosting Craig's mood. Amanda was there for every surgery, for every trip to the hospital, and even when he was fitted for his new legs. Amanda was there for his recovery, she was there when he got his wheelchair and when he got released from the hospital. A new life was beginning, and Craig was no longer as scared as he was after the first week following the accident. Starting a new relationship may be tough, but for Amanda and Craig it was even more challenging. Craig went through the lowest points in his life, but Amanda was relentless. "In that short period of time I quickly learned how selfless and kind she is, especially considering the shape I was in," recalled Craig. Being released from the hospital, Craig thought his life was now completely changed. He didn't expect for this to happen, though. Spending so much time together after the accident, Amanda and Craig's relationship evolved. 8 months after being released from the hospital, they decided to move in together. Amanda was a big part of everything, recalled Craig, admitting that it 100% helped to have a partner there in such a hard time, with so many emotions going on. Although now Craig was in a steady relationship with a loving woman that stood by his side in the darkest moments, Craig felt like something was still missing from his life. He had a new life, but remember that Craig was one of the most outdoorsy people Amanda knew. He missed sports, and he didn't intend on ditching it now, despite he didn't have his legs anymore. Craig decided to get back to work only 3 months after the car accident and a month after being released from the hospital. Even before being in the accident, Craig wished to compete in the Boulder race. So what did he do? On Memorial Day, around 10 months after he lost his legs, Craig competed in the race while in a wheelchair. He decided that not having legs will not stop him from doing what he loved. So, Craig competed in plenty of races, took up kayaking, went back to the gym, started learning hand cycling and rope climbing, and learned again how to ski. "It would be untrue to say that I have not changed by this experience," said Craig. Although he accomplished so many things through the years, he admits that they came with sad truths. "The fact of the matter is that no matter how positive my outlook is and how motivated I am to succeed, this experience has changed me for the rest of my life." However, he is now an advocate for the amputee community. "There are things in life that can be taken from you that are beyond your control, and there are things in life that no one can take from you," wrote Craig in his story. He decided not to let anyone or anything to affect how I see good in the world and the people around me, or my attitude when I wake up in the morning. "I truly hope to inspire people to overcome adversity and know that we are all strong and have the power inside to succeed," said Craig, explaining why he is sharing this story with us. I am sharing my journey with the hope that someone may be inspired to take on their challenges full steam and with a positive attitude, or to just help someone smile and get out of bed when they're feeling down. Craig learned about the community of people that are in the same situation as him, opening his eyes about the marginalized community which is oftentimes overlooked. He decided to start an online program called Amputee Concierge to help people who lost limbs and their family members with information and advice. All of the new things he has done since his accident were with Amanda by his side. When he was on the hospital bed that day, he thought that his relationship was doomed. However, years later, she stuck around, and now they celebrate Craig's alive day as a couple every 4th of July. It's been 4 years and they are still together. I can't tell you where I'd be right now if this man didn't survive this brutal accident, wrote Amanda on Instagram. He's one of my biggest teachers and means the absolute world to me. Thank you for surviving, Craig. Although Craig has physically changed, he said that he hasn't changed his life goals. I am lucky to be alive today, Towler admitted. So every second that I am here is a blessing, and I will use my life experiences to spread positivity and hopefully help motivate people to value the time we have. When he lost his legs, Craig decided to take control of his life. This may seem overwhelming and scary, but once you truly let go it becomes freeing, and only when you truly let go can you begin to experience life. On July 4, 2016, Craig though he would die, and he was close to dying that first week. But with his girlfriend by his side, he decided to live. Though my path was a different one and a lot more challenging, I was still alive, and I decided to live. In his closing words, Craig said that every obstacle in life is created by a barrier in your mind. And every obstacle can be overcome. He has inspired everyone, telling us all that we have such enormous power with every decision we make, with every reaction we have. If we learn how to harness this power, nothing can harm us. Choose to be free. Choose to be in control. Life is good.